Okay. Now we're ready.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to Inside with Outsiders. I'm Jeremy Asgari, and today we have Clarice Lamb, pastry chef and TV personality. Right?
That's right.
Okay, make sure I got that
That's
right. I didn't want to mess that up.
Good job.
Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I was excited to get you on here because I don't know a lot about you at all. I know you partake in the Outsiders events. Your boyfriend is a close friend of mine, Troy, and I'm hoping to be able to get to know you here.
Awesome.
So I want to know, we'll start off with the question we ask everybody to start off with is, where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Born and raised?
Born in Toronto, Canada, and then moved to LA when I was 5. Went to high school in LA, and then after that I lived all over the place. So
Well, we're going to get into all of that stuff because so I was like, okay, we're done, guys.
all right.
What brought your parents, where are your parents from originally?
My parents are originally from Hong Kong, or my dad's from China, and then my mom is from Hong Kong, and they both met in Canada actually. So my mom moved to Canada for high school, then she continued on university in Canada, and then that's where she met my dad in math class, and he used to do her homework.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, how did she end up going to Canada from Hong Kong in high school?
Well, she had so my grandmother's flat had some missionaries that were living downstairs, Canadian missionaries, and they loved my mom. So they actually wanted to adopt her and like steal her, but my grandparents were like, "No, you can't have her."
Okay.
But they were like, "Okay, well, can we bring her to Canada for high school?" And they were like, "Okay, fine, whatever."
Wow, that's that easy. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that was it.
So how did she, have you ever asked her about her experience in Canada? Like, what was that like going from Hong Kong? But obviously Hong Kong, I'm assuming she probably spoke English already.
At that time, Hong Kong was still like a British colony. So she was, I believe that she had two choices. My grandparents said that she could either go to Canada or she could go to London. And my mom chose Canada.
Okay. Well, thankfully she did. She met your dad.
Yeah.
So they met in high school or university?
University.
What was your dad doing there?
My dad just worked his way up. My dad wanted a better life for himself. And so he came from a very small village in China, like dirt roads, lived in a shack kind of village, you know. His dad, my grandfather, left and moved back to the Philippines and then just kind of stayed there. So then my grandmother was a single mother raising my father.
So back to the Philippines. Was he Filipino?
Yeah. He's Chinese Filipino.
Okay, understood.
So so my grandmother raised my dad and his brother, my uncle, on her own. And they wanted to escape communist China by going to Hong Kong. So even though he's from mainland China, he ended up growing up in Hong Kong before he went to Canada. So they did the whole, you know, like walk through 5,000 miles of sleet and snow over the mountains, and then managed to escape China by going onto like a wooden raft and then floating to Hong Kong.
Wow, that's quite the story.
Yep. So then my dad was like, okay, education's really important. And he wanted to get himself and his, you know, mom and everybody out of that situation. So he studied and worked really hard and then somehow made his way to Canada. I think at that time actually, I believe that there was the no Chinese people allowed in America law. Do you remember that? And
I wasn't around, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. But at that time there was like no Chinese people allowed. But so Canada was like, oh no, we welcome Chinese people. Yeah. So it was much easier for my dad to move over there. So that's what happened. He applied to college or university, and then that's where he went.
And you were born there. Do you remember your time there? I mean, you moved to LA when you were 5, so I don't expect you to. But
very vaguely.
Yeah.
Like I remember I had a boyfriend named George, and he taught me to eat meat. I was 5 or 4 or 5. That's what my mom said. My mom said,
go check this guy.
My mom said I didn't like I only wanted to eat like vegetables and I wouldn't eat meat until George introduced me to like a hamburger or something, and then I started eating meat.
Okay.
I remember the snow kind of like vaguely, you know,
Yeah.
like I remember wearing like a snowsuit and having like not having to go places on like certain days because
Yeah.
it was snowing.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Do you have siblings?
I have one sister and she's in Los Angeles.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Younger. So, what was you growing up? What was it like growing up in LA for you?
It was hard. It was really hard. I didn't. We grew up in a primarily white neighborhood, very like wealthy white area, and I was maybe one of 5 to 10 people of color in my high school. So for me, it was very difficult. I got bullied a lot. I had, like a whole like identity crisis situation that most like Asian American, especially first generation Asian Americans have. We're kind of like because being that both of my parents were from, Asia, and they were, their culture is so different there, and they come over here and then they're like, well, this is how we're going to raise you. But then Americans are like, ah! And then it's like, no, but these guys are like, ah! And my parents are like, no, but you're not going to be like that. And I'm like, but why not? Like, so it's like sort of like a clash of like cultures. Like I kind of was, I didn't get to have a lot of friends. I didn't like go out to play.
Right. Yeah.
I never learned to ride a bike until Troy taught me.
Really?
Yeah.
And you rode the Rockaway ride with us too. That's
Yep.
22 miles, and that's not an easy ride.
Yeah. I didn't learn to ride a bike till what, like 4 years ago? Maybe 4 years
Really?
ago.
I'm impressed
Yeah.
that you rode with us.
Yeah. So I was like, I had the kind of childhood where it was like, and I know my parents were doing what they felt like was, would be the best thing for me. But
Yeah.
it was like, oh, like you get to stay at home and do extra credit after school.
Right. No,
Kinda
I
thing.
hear you. I understand. I mean, that obviously that makes it tough, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any resentment towards your culture because of that? And
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't know if it was like I didn't
parents,
have
I guess,
resentment. I had resentment towards my parents for that. For a while, I was like not very proud of my culture because, just because I got picked on a lot for my culture. So it was like, oh, like when people are like, you're like this and all Chinese people do this, and you're like, the dirty Chinese person is like, you don't want to like admit that like you are, right? Like,
Right.
Or not, I'm not dirty, but like
No,
you don't
but
want
I
to
know what
admit
you're
that
saying,
like,
so what would you tell people when you didn't want to admit that you were Chinese? What would you say?
well, I mean, I would say I'm Chinese, but like, I didn't like to like now it's like now is a completely different story. I'm like all about like, educating people on Chinese food
Well,
and
of
Asian
course,
cultures and all this
'cause-
other stuff. But back then I was much more like timid about it. I would
Yeah.
just like not,
Well, let me
I
ask.
wouldn't advertise, I
Right.
wouldn't be like the most Asian person on earth
Right.
because it was like nobody, like I would just get picked on more.
What would you get for lunch in school? Like you brought lunch from home. What was that experience like if you're bringing?
Oh, well, that's a funny story in itself because I used to only eat pizza rolls. So that's what I
Really?
brought to school.
Yeah, I've had a lot of like immigrant friends that would, or like friends whose parents are immigrants that would bring their ethnic food home to lunch, and it was way better food compared to like these Lunchable things.
Well, but that's why though, is because I would get made fun of for eating ethnic food.
Right.
Right. And it was like anything that I did that like had any sort of correlation to being Asian, like I would just get picked on.
So pizza rolls was your answer.
So I don't know if that was like, I don't think that was like a conscious decision. I
Right.
was like, my mom and my parents didn't only make like Chinese food. Like they were always very well traveled. So we always had like a pantry full of like a million different kinds of food from like all over the
Right.
place, know? And it was like the thing that I honestly was drawn to the most, like at that age was like Chef Boyardee and like, and like
who
pizza
isn't?
rolls,
Yeah. And what age is this, by the way?
I like middle school,
Okay. Yeah.
like a middle school through
kids
high
love
school.
the worst food. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I did like some good food as well, but
Yeah.
like, I wanted what marketing told me I wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
Lunchable. I didn't like Lunchables, even though marketing, I had thought those were terrible. Pizza rolls,
Yeah.
pizza bagels, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was all about it. Hold on, we got a knock on the door.
Hello?
Yeah, let's see who the guest is. So, did this resentment towards not resentment, I guess, but like this anger towards your culture and so on, obviously that continued through high school, or did you kind of like feel more comfortable in your skin When did that transition from like kind of being a little embarrassed about being different to accepting it and then being proud of it happen?
Probably like not even until like the last like a decade, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was always secretly proud of like my culture and like, you know, my heritage and stuff. I just wouldn't, you know, I knew that there were certain things that I could like avoid. Like I could avoid certain like altercations, or I could avoid being bullied if I didn't talk about it.
right.
You know, and so like, and then, you know, like I know we're gonna get to this, but like I've lived like all over the world, and literally everywhere I went, it was like my whole entire identity like was defined by me being Asian, and that really kind of
Or
like,
American when you travel
well, no, but
abroad.
nobody sees me as American.
Really?
Like, is it like I lived all over Europe? And then when you go to Asia, and then it's like, oh, I go to Hong Kong, and they don't even see me as being Cantonese either, right? Because they're like, no, you're like mixed, or you're American.
Right. Well, exactly. And there's a great term. I don't mean to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a third culture kid, right? You're a third culture kid. So
yeah.
basically, you're Chinese, but you go back to China and you're American. So
Yeah.
where do you fit in?
Well, that's exactly my point. So it's like there was always this sort of like conflict, right? Because it's like, oh, I go back to like the homeland of Hong Kong, right? And they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
You're not like Chinese at all. Like, and they wouldn't even believe my parent, like my mom, because that, you know, they're like, oh, well, your dad's like white, right? And I'm like, no, like he's Chinese too. And there's like, so it's like over there I didn't fit in, and then in America, like, it's like everybody's like mind is blown that like, you know, no, you're not American. It's like, you're Chinese. It's like, no, but I'm American. And then, or you go to Europe and like their mind is blown. It's like they only think that Asians exist in Asia, and they
and China specifically.
Yeah, and
'Cause
China
you could be Japanese
or
Filipino,
Japanese, like
Vietnamese,
it's whatever. It's a
but you're
toss-up.
Chinese.
It's whatever they decide that day.
Exactly.
You know?
And it was and it's tough because kids can be cruel as hell.
Yeah, so it was like always this kind of like battle within myself to sort of, because I never really felt accepted in no matter where I went. So it was always like an internal battle of like figuring out like what my own like personal identity was. And I feel like I don't know if I really figured that out until like, I don't know if I felt, you know, so at peace with like who I am until probably last decade.
Well, to be honest with you, I think people, despite take the race, ethnicity factor out, people have a hard time figuring out who they are in general, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the fact that you've kind of felt more comfortable in your skin with that on top is great.
Yeah.
So did you grow up? Did you do high school in LA? How long were you in LA?
I did high school in LA.
Yeah.
So I did grade school in LA, and then there was 2 years between 10 and 12 that we actually moved to Hong Kong because my dad's job moved us back there.
Wow.
So we lived in Hong Kong from 10 to 12 when I was 10 to 12 years old. And then at that point, my parents didn't enroll me in a Chinese school. They didn't put me in an American school. They decided to put me in a French school. So
Do you speak French?
Yes, I do.
Fluently? Can I speak to you in French right now on
bien sûr. Bien sûr.
Tu parles très bien.
Oui.
Je savais pas.
Oh, oui, tu parles français?
Oui, je parle français, c'est ma première langue. Ma mère est française.
Ah bon?
Oui, je suis né à Paris.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Look at
that.
See, I wanted to learn more
Je
about
savais
it.
pas.
I'm gonna have you do the subtitles, buddy.
Oh, c'est très
Good
cool.
C'est très cool. So
Oui,
went to a
c'est
French
chouette.
school. Was it lycée français?
No, it's
L'Alliance? No.
no, Alliance Française, no. It was a Français International.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that must have been hard because did you ever take French before that?
No, I didn't. So, but I was like half my classes were in English.
Yeah.
And then, but it was also difficult because it was British English because it was in Hong Kong. So it's not American English.
Right.
So they would make fun of me for over there too for like how I spelled everything.
You just never got a break.
I can't get a break, you know?
Yeah. Color with no U.
Yeah, they're like, there's a U in this word. And I'm like, oh, sorry. So it was, it was half my classes were in English and then the other half was in French. And then at the same time, I was like learning Cantonese because, you know, my grandparents were there.
But what's amazing is that French class, I'm sure, helped you tremendously when you went to
Paris.
chef school.
Yes.
School. Yeah.
Yes, it did. It did help me.
So you must have
tremendously.
been like, oh, I hate my parents for that, but now, okay, I'm kind of thankful.
I don't think I really hate. I just thought. I think maybe it was like an afterthought. Like when I got much older, I was like, oh, that was weird that my parents did that. But like, I didn't mind
And
it.
this is at 10 years old?
10 years old.
It's funny because
10 to
I went
12.
to United Nations School in Manhattan, and when in the French government, my mom found a way. She was a single mom with twins.
Yeah.
Found a way to get the French government to pay for it. But then they stopped paying for it when I was 10, and they gave us a choice of either no more French government support or go to the Lycée Français. And we'd never been to French school. So my mom gave us a choice of going to like a private school in Jersey.
Yeah.
Not too far from where we grew up, or this French school. And we'd never gone to French school. They're like, no, I'm not going to French school.
Yeah.
Part of me wishes that I did, but my friends who went there, like, be happy you didn't go. It was
Yeah.
super strict.
Yeah.
And like full of snobby kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a lot of snobby kids in that school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So wait, wow. So you did 2 years in a French school in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Then
Did you ever find the time to feel like you planted your roots and have like, do you have like childhood friends that you've had for years?
no, I don't have any childhood friends.
That's funny. I don't have too many either. I mean, I have like, I can't even say Bams is a childhood friend, although we knew each other. We weren't necessarily friends. Matter of fact, I didn't really like him when I was a kid. I didn't like him. I also didn't know, and obviously there's reasons why we connect now and why we connected back then is because home wasn't that great, and I'm sure he might have been acting out just the way I was acting out because home wasn't great. But yeah, I don't like. There's people that I know have friends from like elementary school and high school, like they've been friends forever.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
No, I don't have that either. I don't know a single person from high school or before.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because like some people's best friends are friends they've had since they were like 5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? Like,
Yeah,
how do you
exactly.
not grow apart? Like, how do you still have the same interests?
Yeah.
You got problems.
Yeah, especially like when you move around a lot, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to say because you move so much.
Yeah.
Where did you feel like home? Where do you feel like is home? What's home for you?
I don't know.
Your hometown,
I feel like
maybe.
I don't. Home is where the heart is. I mean,
True.
but like for me, it really is though. I've lived in like so many different places. So it's like after even.
So let's listen. So you went to Hong Kong.
I went to Hong Kong 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Then we went back to LA.
Yeah.
I graduated high school when I was 16.
Oh wow.
That's when I got my first modeling contract to go to San Francisco. So then right after high school, I moved to San Francisco. And then
how did your parents feel about that? That's not a traditional.
Oh, hell no. They hated it.
Right.
They were like, what? But I was like, this is your fault. You're the one that did this.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's like, well, they had put me in an etiquette school when I was 15 years old.
French school, etiquette school. Wow, they're grooming you to be like.
Yeah, they were like wanted me to be like the perfect child, right? So they were like, you need to learn manners and all this kind of stuff. So they put me in this etiquette school where it's like, you know, you learn how to introduce people, you learn which fork is what, you learn how to like walk with perfect posture and all that, like whatever, like ridiculous shit, right? And they didn't know that at the end of this course, they chose one person that they felt like had model quality, and they gave them like a full scholarship to like a modeling school, which is.
What's a modeling school?
I know it's not, you know, it's like whatever. Like we all, you know, modeling school is stupid. It's stupid. Okay, like, but it's like it's a school where you go and you learn how to like take pictures. You go and you learn how to run away walk. It's like supposed to help your kind of like confidence, you know, like
understood. Okay.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I got the scholarship and I go home and I'm like, hey, Mom, they gave me this thing.
Yeah.
I don't even like, and as like, I was very sheltered, you know.
And you were how old by then?
15.
Okay.
I was very sheltered, you know, that, you know, when I was with my parents and stuff, like I really had no idea what anything was. Like I didn't know what a model was. I didn't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, is it free? And I'm like, yeah, it's like a scholarship. And they're like, okay, go do it. So that was my kind of like intro, right, to like modeling. And then I ended up getting actually like discovered and then getting offered a modeling contract in San Francisco. So then from then, and in between all these places, I kind of would go back to LA, but I've also lived in Mexico. I lived in Florence, Italy, Paris,
and that's
your homeland.
Modeling.
Yeah,
London, one of my homelands,
London, Ibiza, Cape Town, South Africa. I mean,
and
we already said Hong Kong.
This is all for modeling. And how long was this career? How long did this go?
I would say 10 years full time.
And when did you enjoy it?
I did and I didn't. I feel like I would like work. I would work and then I would kind of like take, like 6 months break or whatever, like in between, because like, and then I would start working again and then I would take another break. It was very fun for me to be able to like see the world, and I don't regret anything, that I did, or any kind of move that I made, like that honestly shaped who I was, and, but it is a hard industry because you're getting judged all the time and for stupid things, and you're getting harassed all the time, and like, so there's two sides.
Of course. And how did the becoming a chef take place?
Well, so I
And am I missing any steps between the modeling career and the change to becoming a chef? Or did you have any in between things?
No.
Okay.
So, well, because I moved around so much, I didn't know anyone or even the language when I first, moved to those places. I I took it upon my own to study the food, because I've always loved food. My parents always brought home snacks from like other countries from their travels. They always like introduced me to so many different kinds of cultures. So when I lived in all of these places, I was like, well, I don't know anybody. I don't have any friends. I don't know how to speak the language, but what I do know is food. So, I just kind of made it a point to kind of try everything, and it really piqued my interest in becoming a chef. And then I thought I wanted to become a savory chef. Then I worked the line, in London for like a day, and I was like, I hate you all. I'm going to become and then I was like in Paris, and I was like, oh wow, this is like.
What do they think about this model wanting to be in the kitchen? Like,
initially they.
You went for one day.
I was there for like one day, just like they welcomed me into the kitchen so I could see what it was like, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
It's like the savory line is completely different than the pastry kitchen is usually like off in the corner, and it's usually air conditioned and everyone minds their own business and they're quiet. But the savory kitchen is a whole other story. Yeah. It's like a nightmare, right? Yeah. For me personally.
I've only seen I worked as a dishwasher and a busboy in high school. There's one boss at the restaurant just always get pissed off and curse and break stuff.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Why would I want to continue working here?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, that's not for me. And then, I kind of decided when I lived in Paris too, that it was like, oh, the pastries are so beautiful, and there's so delicious. Much technique involved, and it's like half science and half art, which I think, is what my brain likes. So I decided to go get into pastry. That's how that happened.
Okay. So tell us how, because now you're like this world famous TV personality, pastry chef. What was the process to getting there? Like, were you?
I got really lucky.
No, I disagree. Maybe there's a little luck here and there, but you must have earned it, of course. So what was your rise in the ranks?
Well, I went to culinary school. In here, I actually moved to New York City to go to culinary school. At that time, it was called the French Culinary Institute, which is no longer here.
That was a really famous place, wasn't it?
Yeah. It turned into the Institute ICC something. I don't know. It turned to ICC, then it kind of merged with ICE, the Institute of Culinary Education. Mm-hmm. So there's no more FCI. But I went to the French Culinary Institute. I got my Grand Diplôme in pastry arts.
I like how you say that.
Yeah.
I actually don't.
I know, that was a really bad one.
It was terrible.
That was terrible. But and then I just started working in different places. And I kind of like, I shot up the ranks really fast because I worked really hard. And I knew that.
And were you working at pastry shops or restaurants?
I started off in like restaurants. Then I moved to, I think my first opportunity was I took a job, an extra job, as like a pastry assistant or whatever, in this place called the Chocolate Room in Brooklyn, and their head chef left, and so they offered me the position of head chef, and then I like became the executive chef like within like 6 months, and I ran like 2 shops. So that was like my first, rise from just cook to to actual chef. And then from then on, I just, I did a whole bunch of other things, and then I started my own business, and then I ran that for called the Baking Bean.
And was that a pastry shop?
It was sort of like an online, kitchen to door bakery. I did pop-ups I used to be at Smorgasburg.
Yeah.
I did the holiday markets, all that kind of stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and I stopped doing that.
Wait, when did you make your first TV appearance?
Oh God, I
Pre-print.
literally straight out of culinary school.
Really?
They find you. Somehow they find you. So it was like.
What was your first TV appearance?
Sweet Genius. It was on the Food Network.
And what did you do?
I was a contestant.
Okay.
And I totally lost. That was gone the first round. But I was so green,
Yeah. I mean, I also saw you on Beat Bobby Flay.
I was on Beat Bobby Flay twice.
And I was rooting for you. And
but because it's his show. It's Beat Bobby Flay.
It's rigged. In my opinion, it's rigged. Bobby Flay.
But yeah, so there's that. And I think the media they really enjoyed the whole story that model turned chef. That brought me a lot of press. And then when I opened my own business, it kind of, helped to help my business a lot.
What were when you were still modeling, what were the campaigns that really were notable that put you out there, got you fame, I guess?
I wasn't famous at all. I just had a really long mediocre run as a model. You know what I mean? I made it last for a very, very long time, but I was never a top model. But I did do a Prada sportswear campaign. I mean, I've walked a lot of runways. I did LA Fashion Week, London Fashion Week. I did a lot of stuff for fashion TV. I lived in the Philippines as well. And I did a lot of music videos and things like that.
Yeah. But your future and what you've excelled at is pastry chef. Do you own your own baking shop, pastry shop? I don't know how to describe that.
Bakery.
Bakery. Yes, bakery. That's the word I'm looking for.
Not anymore. So I had when the pandemic hit in 2020, I had kind of temporarily put the Baking Bean on hold because nobody knew what was happening. But then at the same time, I got asked to open a restaurant called Kimika in Nolita with a friend of mine, and we did that together, and we got a lot of accolades from that. We were, best new restaurant, nominated James Beard Award.
Wow.
We were top, according to Condé Nast Travel, top 21 restaurants in the world. So we did
You're downplaying this stuff.
we got a lot of
this is huge achievements that people dream about having for the restaurants. And you're we got this, we got that.
We did a really good job with that restaurant.
I'd say so. You won some nice awards.
Yeah, we did. So we were semi-finalists though for the James Beard. So we didn't win, but we were a semi-finalist.
Oh, losers! Terrible.
Total losers.
It's still impressive. I'm super impressed by all those accolades. Yeah.
Thanks. So but then this year, in May, my friend's the executive chef. She left the restaurant, and so did I. So I was like, well, it was a team effort. We called it the Clam and Clow Show because my name is Clarice Lamb, so it's C
Clam, yeah.
dot Lamb, and she's Christine Lau, so C dot Lau. So it was the Clam and Clow Show, and that's what we called our sort of the chef duo, savory and sweet chef duo. So I stopped doing that in May, and then of this year, 2022, and then actually, oddly enough, immediately after, I got cast to be the judge on the Dr. Seuss Baking Challenge.
Nice. And when is that? Actually, we might post this after it airs. Okay. But when does it air anyway?
December 13th.
Okay.
Of 2022. It's on Amazon or Prime Video and Amazon Freevee.
And is this the first time that you're not a contestant, but you're actually a judge?
It is.
It is.
Yes, it is.
You've established the next level now.
That's because I have a piece of advice for everybody. Stand your ground, right? So whoever asked me again to be another contestant, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I never win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm clearly a horrible contestant. Like, I'm only on there for my like sparkling personality, right? Like, I'm seriously like the worst contestant ever. So I was like, I'm not going to be a contestant anymore. I never win. I don't want to do this. It's too stressful. It's giving me anxiety and PTSD all at the same time. It's like, I don't want to do this. Call me when you want to hire me as a judge. And like, that was it. And then it was like 2 weeks later, hey, do you want to be a judge? And I'm like, what?
Now what you need to do is have your own show and have Bobby Flay try to beat you. And you can make a grilled cheese. He's going to make this amazing meal. I'm like, I win. It's my show.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the best grilled cheese. He beats your steak.
Yep.
That's awesome. So how does it feel to have like this? I mean, you obviously stood your ground. Are you excited about your show? Are you nervous? Like, this is a big step.
It's a huge step. And I'm super grateful for like, I'm like beyond grateful for, Amazon and Prime Video for even giving me this opportunity. I mean, the host of the show is Tamara Mowry. I don't know if you remember Sister.
Yeah. Oh, Tia Tamara.
Yeah,
wow.
it's Tia Tamara. And so we've got, my co-judge is Joshua John Russell, who is an amazing cake artist, and I'm sort of like the lesser known out of the three of us. And so I'm just like super grateful for this opportunity, you know. I love it. I had a blast filming it. I mean, I hope I get to do like more things like this, but yeah, I love it.
Now, looking back as a child, would you ever imagine you'd be doing this? And what did you want to do when you were a kid?
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist.
Well, you are an artist now.
Yes,
canvas
but I
is
wanted to
food.
be like a painter artist.
Do you paint and draw?
I did for a while, for a really long time, like as just a hobby though, like
Right.
never, anything professional. But that's what I really wanted to be. And then my dad crushed my dreams and told me that I'm not allowed to be an artist because I won't make any money until I die.
Which is not true now.
Exactly.
But he does have a bit of a
and
point.
I was like, I don't want to die.
That was your reaction?
Yeah, that was my reaction because I'm like a child, and and that forever like scarred me. I was like, okay, no artist, cross.
But do you feel like you're doing what you were meant to do? Like, have you found your anchor? For me, I'm like, well, Outsiders in this, even Outsiders are now doing these podcasts. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Do you feel like you're doing that with being a judge, being a pastry chef and all?
100%. Like this is, it's my passion, like it doesn't feel like work. It's not, I love baking. I love cooking. I'll do it regardless, if I become famous or if I get paid $1 million.
Troy's a lucky man.
Like this is like, this is just like
man.
what I do, and it's what makes me happy. And for me, it's very like meditative.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like fairly good at it. So like I do think that this is like what I was meant to do.
Nice.
This, or at least for me, this is the path that I've chosen, and I'm very happy with.
I just started doing more cooking during the pandemic, and I like trying to make Persian food. My dad is from Iran. And I've recently made turmeric chicken.
Yeah,
it's really good, really easy to make. I feel proud of myself, but I've never tried baking. I haven't tried baking yet. I feel like that's a different animal.
It is, but it also isn't. It's like if you can follow directions and you have patience, then you'll be good at it.
Well, my thing is when people say I can't cook, I'm like, what do you mean you can't read?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You can't cook. You follow instructions. It's not like all of a sudden you're supposed to know all these recipes, off the top of your head.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get frustrated with that response.
Yeah. I love Persian rice.
Oh,
it's like one of my favorite things. The
ones?
one with the like yogurty, crusty bottom, the saffron-y one.
They all have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they all have saffron a bit on top. You always have, it's basmati rice.
Yeah.
And I cheat because I have a Persian rice maker.
Oh.
So it makes the crispy rice automatically.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just put enough just to have, it was tadig.
Yeah.
Just enough to have that.
Yeah.
But there's no yogurt in that. There is a yogurty one is tachin, which is like. Yeah, that's like a brick of like crispy rice, and then like barberries with chicken inside. Yep. Oh, that's one of my favorite dishes.
Yep.
Making me hungry.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some more in-depth questions for you. What do you do for fun? In-depth question. What do you do for fun?
Eat the same thing that I do for a living.
Yeah.
I eat. I like exercising. I mean, I don't know if I like love it. I don't know if I love the process of working out, but it makes me feel good. So therefore I love it.
Endorphins, runner's highs scenario.
Yeah. So like lately, like, I've been doing boxing and I really love boxing. I also really love yoga. I love riding a bike now that I know how.
I'm glad. Thank you, Troy, for teaching me how to ride a bike. Matter of fact, you guys spend your summers in New York, right? Or back and forth?
Yeah,
well, you gotta come on some of our bike rides this year.
I also only have a single speed though, so that's very difficult for me to keep up with you guys.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job. If I remember correctly. I don't remember you like...
I mean, I almost got hit by a car like 50 times, but I kept up.
I mean, not my fault. All right. That's a good balance though, right? Being active and being able to eat all you want.
Well, I have to do the working out in order to eat all of the things that I want to eat.
I agree. Well, for me, working out, I do end up liking it. I play basketball too. That's my workout. But also, if I don't, like, my stress levels are a lot higher. My anxiety levels are higher. Sure. So kind of the same reason why you work out, other than the endorphins. Yeah. Well, I guess it's a product of the endorphins lowering your stress levels. Yeah. And honestly, if I don't work out, my body hurts more. It's weird.
Me too. Yeah. Me too.
I guess it happens when you're no longer a spring chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no one here is spring chicken, so we're good.
I think we're all old fogies.
Old folks. What are your goals and dreams beyond? Like I kind of asked you, like, where do you see this going? But what is your ideal? Would it be continue on the TV personality realm, or would it be opening another bakery or having a...
I mean, I feel like my goal in life right at this exact moment is to be able to retire.
What, soon or like in general?
Like in general.
Yeah. So financial security.
Financial security. But, at the same time, it's like, I think with my career-wise, I would love to continue the kind of like media route. It's very difficult on me and my body to be working in a kitchen all the time. Yeah. So I'd like to not have to do that.
Well, unless you're the executive chef.
No, even if I'm the executive chef,
really?
I just can't do it. I can't pull those kinds of hours anymore. I can't handle that kind of stress anymore. It's like 14 hours a day on your feet and like just extreme levels of stress. Like one of my dreams though is to actually open a cute little like brunchy like bakery restaurant
shack.
Anthony
Bourdain's like rolling in his grave right now.
like on a beach somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and just be like a super chill like surfer chick hippie girl with like
the simple life,
with
right?
with like a dope like restaurant with like high quality like food,
There's so many islands that need like nice good quality food which you don't get not always obviously, but yeah. But what is like your dream? So you go into the media route, your dream gig in the media realm?
I think like having either like I'm very happy doing judging. I would like to have my own sort of like travel food show if possible.
I haven't seen any travel food shows that specify specifically in sweets.
There's not because the sweets area is totally underrated for a lot of people. Don't care about sweets for some reason, which I'm like, what's wrong with you? But I don't know.
Well, you can do food and like the focus would be on sweets, but you can kind of do all of that.
Yeah, that and
if you need a sidekick, let me know.
Okay,
I'm in. What were you about to say?
I forgot to mention that I'm writing my first cookbook. So that's another thing that, being sort of like a media, maybe a chef personality, having my own, kind of, show and just like being a cookbook author and know.
What's your cookbook going to be about?
It'll be out in a long time, 2024, September of 2024. It'll be out on Chronicle Books. And I don't know if I'm allowed to like say the name or whatever, but it's about baking and it's about Asian baking techniques combined with like American and European and sort of like worldwide influences and obviously heavily Asian flavored influence, but the way that foods from different cultures kind of like bridge together and make sense.
One of my favorite, I don't know if it's considered a vegetable, but I love is the Japanese purple sweet potato.
Yep.
When I went to Okinawa, I had they make everything out of that stuff. The ice cream out of it. It was so good. I actually just got some at home, and I think so. Okinawa is a blue zone.
Yeah.
So it means like people live to like 100 years old, healthy, and I feel like maybe the purple sweet potato has something to do with that.
Yeah, probably.
So it's my new
all the
superfood.
fish.
All the fish, exactly. All right. What advice would you give high school you, looking back at like struggles you had culturally, both with your parents being super strict and being so sheltered? And what would you tell yourself?
I wish that I had come out of my shell a lot sooner than I did. I was so shy and sheltered and like scared, like scared of a judgment and scared to disappoint, scared to disappoint my parents, scared of judgment from my parents, and also scared of judgment from my peers. Like I wish back then I like didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like I wish I just didn't care, and I could have just like come out of my shell and been my own person and not really cared.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's a common thing to feel among a lot of us, because you put so much weight on other people's opinions when you're younger. And when you finally get to the point where you don't care, it's like, wow, I wish I would have felt this way earlier. Or not that you don't care, but it's less impactful for you.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I'm still like working on that myself. What's your favorite part of Outsiders?
Outsiders. Oh gosh. I love, one of the first things that I told to Troy about after I met you for the first time, which I can't remember exactly. It might have been at a club or something.
Probably, yeah.
But and then the first time that I went to one of your events, what I noticed was you have a very diverse group of friends, which to me is like the most important thing, one of the most important things, because one of the things that I learned from traveling all over and living all over the world is like how important it is to learn from other people. And the more diverse your group is, the more you can learn, and then hopefully the more peace you'll have in your life and in your community and in your world. And and so I love being outside. I love doing activities. I love your bike rides, although I wish you would slow down a little bit. I mean, I was literally like that last one that we rode to the Rockaways or whatever. I was like,
it was also like hot as hell that day.
I was like sweating balls, and I was like laying like in the sand. Like I showered at the beach with like all my clothes on. And then I passed out in the sand.
But what's great about it is you did it.
I did it.
And how long have you been riding? But how many rides have you done by then? And how many long rides?
That was the longest ride. That's still, by the way, the longest ride I've ever done. It was like 33 miles or something.
It was not 33 miles.
It wasn't 33 miles?
It was 22 miles. Every time I speak to you, it's going to be like an additional 10 miles.
Yeah, that's true.
It was 84 miles.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, do you guys ride the bikes back?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, some people do.
Did we?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Some people do, but no, we don't advise it.
Yeah. But yeah, that was probably still the longest ride I've had. But yeah, I love being outdoors. I love how you bring everybody together. I love the diversity. I love, you actually know, like separately, like we have like mutual friends that I like didn't, like that are in your group. So I think that's cool, because like you have people that come from like all different careers, like obviously like I would typically hang out with people within my own industry, right? Like food people, and now through him maybe some music people, but whereas the Outsiders is like everyone's got a different job, and they everybody comes together, and everyone's super chill and fun, and like there's the outdoor activities bring everybody together kind of thing. I
appreciate that. It's funny because it's part of our mission, but it's not like we have to work towards that, because that's what I've always kept around me. And also because I don't feel like I fit in just necessarily one box. I want to have everything. I want to have people from all over the place. Because like you said, each person has I said it earlier, the human stories are most interesting,
Yeah.
right? And getting people from different places
Yeah.
is getting different stories each
Mhm.
time, different kinds of people. So not just places, races, ethnicity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, all that.
Yeah.
All these things that we try to involve in outsiders as far as diversity goes
Yeah.
is stuff that I just am drawn to by nature for some reason. So
Yeah, it's
I
super
appreciate
awesome.
you appreciate that.
No, of course. It's super awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you think it's super awesome. So do I.
Yeah.
What is a dream you've yet to achieve?
I really want to go to the Maldives.
Ooh, aren't they like sinking?
Are they?
I mean,
Oh,
is
well,
that
then
the
I
right
better
place?
hurry.
Better hurry up. That is a good place. I mean, it looks beautiful from the photos.
I also really want to go to the Great Barrier Reef before the coral, like all of the corals really die.
Would you go in the water there? Like with all the great whites and all that stuff?
Maybe.
Braver than I am. What is your most embarrassing moment?
I feel like, I honestly feel like I don't have that many because it's like hard.
You don't have a similar story to Troy?
No, I don't. But it's also like because I feel like if something embarrassing happens to me, like I don't get embarrassed because I think it's hilarious.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? I think, okay,
tell me
what,
about
like a
some hilarious
cringy,
moments.
maybe like a cringy moment.
Yes, cringy is embarrassing.
Okay, so and this is like, work related too. So like when I first got out of culinary school, and this is a thing that most people think, that you think as soon as you get out of culinary school, you get to call yourself a chef, right?
You don't?
No.
I don't know.
No. You have to like work yourself up in the ranks. You have to actually have managed and run a restaurant in order for you to be a chef. If you haven't done that, then you're just a cook. Right. But I was like, I went to culinary school. Like I know like everything kind of like I'm a chef now, like whatever. So like I had an internship at Locanda Verde. And at that time I broke my foot like 5,000 times. So I had a broken foot, or I had a previously broken foot, and my foot was in a lot of pain, and I couldn't. There were times where like I would just get up in the morning and I couldn't stand on it, and so I had to call out like many times because of my foot issue, and then I got fired from my internship, which is like, who gets fired from like you're not even paying me and like you fired me, right? So it was already like super cringy for me because I'm like, oh my God, I've never been fired in my life.
And then from a non-paying job.
I got fired from like a non-paying job, and I was
it's like being fired on your day off, like movie Friday. But go ahead.
No, so then I was like really upset that I got fired. So I send the chef an email, and I'm like, it wasn't mean or anything, but I was like basically like I don't understand, like you guys should be able to do the work without me because I'm an intern. Like it should be like you guys should be able to like cover this on your own without me here. Like, whatever, like you want to fire me, that's fine. But like I hope that you'll still let me use you as a reference. That was like my email, and I was like, it's so stupid. Oh my God, it was so crazy. It's like now, like 50 years later, I'm like, oh my God, I was so dumb. Like I can't believe I did that.
Why would you want to use them as a reference?
Yeah, like why would I even want to do that? But like, why did I even say anything? I mean, this was like 12 years ago. Yeah. 12 years ago. But it was like, now knowing how the industry is, like that's like the most, like the dumbest thing that I could have done. That is it's like, it's really like cringy. Yeah. And it embarrassing,
I agree. It's not as good as Troy's story.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't have a hemorrhoid situation.
It's all good. Thankfully you don't. Appreciate you sharing that. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you feel like is worthy of sharing that you want to share?
No.
No? I covered all bases? Yeah. Everything about you?
I mean, I don't know. I would be here for like 50 years.
Okay. Well, yeah. Then in that case, we're going to start our 5 rapid fire questions.
Oh,
okay?
Boy. All right.
You know how that works. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Favorite city other than New York City?
Your birthplace, Paris.
Paris, really? Tell me why.
I have really good memories from there. I was young, I had a great time.
Now, which I guess you were there while you were modeling. You weren't there for any pastry stuff,
No.
right? Not yet, at least.
No. Yeah, I was there. Would I?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to. Obviously, I would love to learn from the masters, you know?
Yeah. I thought the secret was just a lot of butter and sugar, right? That's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Just throw it in a bowl and call it a day.
Exactly. Give me a spoon.
Yeah.
If
Ew, gross.
you could do any other profession, what would you do?
If I could do any other profession, I mean, I really wish that I was very good at either singing or dancing.
You wouldn't be a painter?
No, I wouldn't. You
Yeah.
know what? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I know I wouldn't.
Okay.
I don't know if like as a profession, but I really wish that I could sing, or I really wish I could dance.
Yeah. I think singing would be cool.
Yeah.
I'd like that
Yeah.
if I could be a singer. But you hear my voice? It's not happening.
Yeah. No.
What's your vice?
My vice? Oh gosh, I have a lot of eating problems. I eat too much food. I don't know when to stop.
So you and Troy are like...
It's terrible.
It's
It's
terrible.
terrible. It's really bad.
Oh my God.
It's terrible.
All right. Well, that's better than like drugs. So
Yeah.
good. What's your greatest fear?
Greatest fear is honestly, it's working until like the day I die.
So retirement.
Yeah,
again.
retirement.
Okay. Retirement is your goal. Here's another question, and it might be impossible for you to answer. But what's your favorite restaurant, what's your favorite restaurant you've ever been to in your life? Is there one that stands out
in my life?
Yeah, most.
I feel like the most memorable experience that I've had. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, there's two, but I guess my first one is what actually, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was by Chef Masa, who also owns Masa here in Columbus Circle. But he's a sushi chef, and he had a restaurant on Rodeo Drive, and it was an 8-seater restaurant, and it was like he flew his fish in from Japan 24 hours before your reservation. And the whole restaurant, there's no menu. Like you order omakase, you just tell them your price point, how much you want to spend. You have to reserve your seat because there's literally only 8 seats. You have to reserve it like 50 years in advance, and you tell him your price point, and he flies all this fish in, and then he makes you like an incredible meal. Like I was very fortunate that I my aunt took me, my mom, and my sister to this restaurant when I was like in maybe 13, 14 years old or something in LA.
Did you appreciate it then?
I did, and that's what kind of honestly made me be like, oh my God, I want to be a chef. One of the things that, led me in that direction, because until that point, it was like, we were going to like, sushi buffets, right. Like, because it was like, oh, great deal,
Yeah.
But I was like, then I ate that meal there, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I haven't been to too
insane.
Many like super expensive, fancy. I mean, I've been to a decent fair share, but the one that stands out was the one. Basically, the gifts my mom and I give each other for Christmas and birthdays is no longer like material goods.
Yeah.
It's like dining experiences.
Yeah.
And she took me to this place on their Upper East Side, I think, a caviar place. And
Caviar Ruse?
No, I could look up the name right now. Actually, it was amazing. Like it was like this whole prefix like thing they do only on a certain night.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can find this thing. Caviar. I was like Michael's Caviar or something. I don't know what. They had like a weird name for a fancy place.
Oh yeah, Michael's
like,
Caviar.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. I'm gonna take a look one more time and see if I can find this thing. I can't find it. No. Oh yeah. Is this it? Huso? Maybe that's not it. HUSO.
HUSO. I don't know that place.
I think. Well, anyway, this place was amazing, and I'm a big fan of caviar. But like they made it in like every dish involved caviar, even the dessert.
Nice.
So it was really good. But that's interesting. I was going to ask you how you decided to become a chef, but that's like the first thing.
Yeah, that was one of the like first times that I realized how impactful food can be, and how how food is like really different, right? Like you could go to like a sushi buffet and like you go, oh, like this is like whatever. Like at that age, you know, when I'm like 12 or 13, I'm like, this is great sushi.
Right.
You're like at a sushi buffet and I can eat as much as I want.
I mean, Chuck E. Cheese pizza at that age is delicious. But it's terrible.
And then I go to this other one where he's like he flies fish in from, you know, Tokyo over or Japan, wherever, Okinawa, I don't know where, like overnight. And you're like, whoa, this is like, you can tell that like there's a difference in quality between this fish and this fish. And it just really piqued my interest.
That's cool. Well, that leads to my next question. What's your favorite food?
I have so many favorite
I know
foods.
you have. What did you bring? But then you could talk about what your favorite food is.
Oh, okay. What did I bring? All right.
Yeah.
I have two problems in life.
That's it? That's good.
One of them is chips.
Let's see. What is this? Are these one of your favorite chips?
Lately, I've been really into the sweet onion flavored, but they have to be kettle chips.
Okay.
And then there are, you know, a few brands that I'm happy with. And then the other problem I have in life is jelly beans, but just the sour jelly belly jelly beans.
Is there only one flavor for the sour ones?
No, it's like a few different flavors.
Oh, but the sour.
But they're all
okay,
sour.
Yeah.
So this is one of them, and I have a tip, a pro tip.
Let's hear its pro tip.
I store my chips upside down because then all of the flavor dust gets evenly dispersed. Because you know when you eat a bag of chips like right side up, like at the very bottom, there's all this wasted flavor dust.
Once you open it, doesn't the flavor dust go back down?
Well, you open it upside down, so then all the flavor dust gets to hit this bottom.
Doesn't gravity? All right. Well, I believe you.
Because before, all the flavor dust is at this bottom.
Right.
Then the top chips don't get any flavor dust.
Oh, I see.
So then you put it this way, then all the flavor dust goes back to the
There's
top.
There's got to be a problem with the food of referring to flavor dust. So
Listen, I know it's disgusting, but I love flavor dust.
But these are addictive. Like chips in general are a problem.
Yeah, that's why I know. That's what I said. It's one of my major problems in life.
Yeah. Well, let's try some of your. I can have that.
Oh, you're gonna have this?
I can have that.
Okay.
Unless you want to save it for later. I want to try the flavor dust.
Here, try the evenly dispersed flavor dust.
Okay. Why there's flavor dust in my hands all of a sudden?
Yeah. See.
Those taste like. Those taste like Funyuns.
Different texture, but
much different texture.
Yeah.
It's like Funyuns.
Mm-hmm. It's sweet Maui onion.
These are.
See?
They're
yummy.
Stop. Yeah.
They're yummy.
It's really annoying. That was really good. All right. Any other foods that like you really can't live without?
Noodles.
Yeah. What kind of noodles? What's the best?
Any kind of noodles, like ramen noodles, pho, like Vietnamese soup noodles, stir-fried noodles, crunchy noodles, spaghetti pasta, like Italian noodles.
Well, I can have pho. Where's the best pho spot in New York?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You know what? That one's a little bit difficult. I don't know if I can tell you where the best banh mi spot is. That's not noodles, but I also do have I love banh mi's.
Yeah.
And that's at Banh Mi Ko Ut.
Okay.
Which is on Elizabeth.
Well, if you could think of a good pho spot. Yeah. Not right now, if you remember.
Hanoi House?
Hanoi House.
Hanoi House. I like Pho Bang Bang. That's on like Mott or Mulberry or something like that.
I gotta check some out. All right.
Yeah.
I gotta eat. So I want to thank you for being on the podcast, the show. Wish you tons of success on your upcoming show. Let them know where to catch it and tell the audience.
Sorry. Thank you so much for having me. You can check out my new show on Amazon Prime Video and Amazon Freevee starting December 13th. It's called the Dr. Seuss Baking Challenge.
Amazing. Well, if you ever need a sidekick on anything, I'm open to it. I guess I'm second in line to Troy. So
yeah, you can be his sidekick.
I'll be anytime. I'll be anyone's sidekick. If I get some food, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Hope you come out some more outsider stuff.
Of course.
And hope to see you more often.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.